Okay, so just a brief video on names because people seem to be confused about names. Now, names have power, okay? When you say a person's name, they come, okay? So, when you are growing up, you're given a name. A lot of people refer to that name as their slave name, okay? Because it's a name that was given to them at birth against their will, okay? At a certain point in your life, you may feel the need to change your name. And that may be based on a lot of factors. But names that are given to you tribally, for example, a friend of yours or mine perhaps might always, skip down the road. So we call him Skippy, okay? And you go, yeah, you're right, Skippy, how you doing? And that's a tribal name that's given to you, okay? And then you have your emancipated name. And your emancipated name is a name that you choose to define yourself as who you are and your identity as who you are. It's not a political thing. It's an emancipation thing. It's saying, these were names that were given to me at birth and through growing up. And now I am an adult. I choose my own name and my own identity, not ones that you have given to me, ones I have chosen for myself. That is the definition of what emancipation is, really, is just freeing yourself from slavery, okay? And when you take your name and you put it in deed and then you change it, that becomes your name and who you are. Anybody that refers to you as a previous name, especially if it's not a tribal name, okay? So if they don't know you and then they don't know you at all and they refer to you as their tribal name, that's not someone you want to know, especially because they don't know your tribal name, yeah? And they refer to you as it. Only your friends and your family will know your tribal name, okay? So if they know your name, they know your name. Only they will know your name. They will know that you're called Skippy or whatever. And your slave name, the name you're giving at birth, is a birth name that you had no choice over. Whether or not you choose to take on that identity is completely up to you. However, if you refer to an emancipated person who has chosen to define themselves by changing their name, and you refer to them as their slave name, and you're not a friend of them enough to be able to call them their tribal name, okay, you've proven you have no respect for that person. None. And so you're a disrespectful person. You get put into the disrespectful category automatically, okay? And you stay there until you accept that the name that you were given at birth is not who you are. You define who you are, and your emancipated name is the key to that. And anybody who argues with you about that is what I would call, in modern terminology, a narcissist, because they are ignoring your truth and inserting their truth into your life as truth, and it is not. And so you've got to understand that. And you do. I know you do. I know that out there in the world, not everybody is fighting the same fight, and it feels a lot like, you are the lone dot in a crowd, the black sheep in a field of white. But that's not the case. The human species is an organic organism that has 7 billion people all working, okay? Not everybody is able to understand what the information you're relaying is correctly. Today, for example, I got into an argument with an Indian-speaking call worker because I didn't understand what he was saying. So he laughed. He went, sorry, let me speak clearer, slower for you so you can understand. I said, thank you very much. And we got through the problem. But if we'd have just continued it would have just ended up at loggerheads and me being misunderstood and him not being able to do his job. Okay? And this is how we are living in the universe and the world as a being. Okay? If someone refers to you as your slave name, ignore them. They are not susceptible or open-minded enough to be able to hear the information that's being said to you. Okay? They don't know. They don't understand. And it's not your place. And if they're not making any efforts to understand either, okay, that's when you walk away from the conversation. If the guy on the other side of the line has got a sense of humour and knows that this is exactly the problem that he faces every day, and you can get through that with a cool head, you've not just achieved your goal, but you've also bridged a communication gap that was there and now isn't. So you've achieved, you've improved, you've become better. They haven't. Leave them to it. Okay? That's not to say that they're not nasty people who are capable of great atrocities in the world. And that is why we build walls, and it is why we build safe spaces like this. Okay? Because it's so important that those people don't find a way to insert themselves into your life against your will. And especially if they're trying to impose a character onto you that is not who you are. So if they're trying to impose... See, tribal names are imposed names. Skippy is a good example, for example, because you can't get away from the fact that he skips when he walks, okay? He's Skippy. So even though he may not like the nickname Skippy, okay, we refer to him lovingly as Skippy, okay? So that's how we identify our own as well. And that's important. And so these kinds of things are, he may not like it, but it's in love. A slave name, a name that you had no choice over, even if it was given to you by someone that you do love, like your mother or your father, it's still imposed upon you. It's placed upon you. It's put on you as a tattoo. Okay? And you had no choice in it. That's the thing. How would you feel if you woke up one day with a tattoo that was on you that wasn't yours, that you didn't design, that didn't belong to you? You would be upset. You'd be very upset. You'd be like, this isn't happening. Okay? So those are the names that you've got to avoid when people are calling you. You don't listen to those people. Okay? And if they... do find a way to try to, coerce you into agreeing to the acceptable template that they've pushed onto you, right? What you do is you then just break it. You just say no. Okay, and a lot of it is, you do see the kind of... And it is scary because we've just dispelled the Russian diplomats. The Cold War was a scary time. People in the back rooms of darkened, forgotten places being beaten, and brainwashed. And it's a scary thing to face. And I would have preferred that this had never even gotten to this kind of point in the video either, because I don't want to talk about politics. Anyway, bye! Remember, never, fight the power. Bye!